that we just feel morally, we do have a moral duty as public safety professionals to say, here's what we see, here's some things you could do. And we're ignored. So we tried from April. I wrote 3 letters and an email to the Prime Minister. I got one reply months later saying, I'm too busy, you can meet with this other minister who was the wrong minister. Asked that minister to help get someone else to the meeting and he refused. So we finally had a meeting, and then we were fobbed off and told things like using the military was a stupid idea. And, you know, the fire chiefs, if they want extra firefighting aircraft and they ask for them, they'll get them, but they haven't asked, which wasn't true because they had a business case gathering dust in Canberra for 18 months, begging for extra money for firefighting aircraft. So, look, extremely frustrating, but I think the government has had to listen to us. And I think we've been successful in getting an ear for the current fire chiefs who weren't being listened to, no matter what this government and the Prime Minister say. They weren't, I know. And I was former head of our peak body for Australia and New Zealand, and we were really nobody in Canberra. It was very difficult to have a voice or be listened to. But they're being listened to now, but it was too little too late. We tried to tell the government getting the military involved in support is really, it's a really difficult process. I've done it, you know, I've been involved in that numerous times over the years for different things overseas and here. But they said, no, we don't need to listen to you. And then guess what? The Prime Minister said, oh, it's a really difficult process and we might have to look at that after doing it and not telling the Fire Commission in New South Wales or the government that he was doing it. So really frustrating, and yes, it could have made a difference to recovery efforts, to logistics, backing up the firefighters. But frankly, future generations, if these are the fires we're facing now under 1 degree, imagine under 2 degrees, 3 degrees. We really have that moral obligation to people in the future. We must take major action on emissions. There's no policy setting whatsoever with this government, apart from paying people who say they're going to reduce emissions, which is just ridiculous, and it hasn't worked. The figures show that. So we must fight for this planet and in every way we possibly can, within reason, non-violently, etc., etc. Taking a leaf out of Gandhi's book, not saying anything else, but we must push our politicians to actually lead. And that's the gulf I see. There's just no leadership here whatsoever.